Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. I did a podcast today on IBS, what your doctor is missing. We're going to go just a little bit deeper into the food component, right? Let's say you fix the food. Why do you still have your digestive symptoms? This is a question I get all the time. We're going to dive into that topic today. Love to see your comments below and give me a sub if you're enjoying the content. So first off, food is an important component. Everyone starts at different places. I mean, I've seen 5,000 plus patients over the last 15 years. Some patients come in and they're following a standard American diet. Lots of processed food, lots of gluten, lots of seed oils, lots of processed sugar. Let's say they may also be skipping breakfast or maybe not eating enough protein, very carb heavy. There's a lot of issues. It could be macro, it could be micronutrients, it could be meal timing, it could be everything. And so that person is going to do much better when they have a really poor diet and we just cut out the processed junk. You see the biggest margin of victory, the biggest win when it's standard American into something cleaner, something where all the processed junk's cut out. The sugar, the more common food allergens like the gluten, the dairy, any of the seed oils, and you're focusing on meat, some veggies, some fruit, maybe some healthy starch. You're cooking it well. That's usually the sweet spot where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. Now, from there, let's say you've already made some of these changes. Now what? Now you're struggling. There could be an issue where you have to cook that food a lot more. It could be even the fiber in those foods. Maybe you have to look a little bit deeper into the anti-nutrients in those foods, maybe the peels, maybe the salicylates, the phytates, also some of the fermentable carbohydrates, right? Fructo, oligo, disaccharide, mono, and polyol. That stands for FODMAPs. That could be a big thing. Just cooking the food better, nothing raw, avoiding raw salads. That could be another component. Next down the road could also be dialing in your enzymes, dialing in your acids, maybe dialing in bile support. Maybe you also have some chronic motility issues. Maybe you have constipation and that 24-hour cycle of you consuming something, it's not coming out the other end, if you will. Maybe we have gastroparesis. Maybe that food's sitting in your stomach too long and it's creating more reflux or burning or lower esophageal sphincter burning issues or coming up on you for your silent reflux at night. All those things could potentially be at play, right? So we have to look deeper. So some things could be just you're eating the same foods all the time. Like you're having healthy foods, it's clean, but you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And because of the chronic immune activation and the chronic inflammation in your gut, your tight junctions are more open, they're more permeable, and that's allowing a lot more of these food proteins to get into your bloodstream and allowing more immune activation. And when that immune system is seeing those same foods over and over, number one, and they're not being broken down adequately because enzymes, acids, bile is just too low. Now the immune system has a greater chance of tagging those proteins and creating food allergens to them. And that's where it's important that we have to mix that up. So my adage is if you love it, rotate it. If you love it, rotate it. That way your immune system's not seeing the same thing over and over. So on the podcast, we chatted about the fact that food allergy tests are out there. I don't think they're bad. There's some pretty good ones out there that are just looking beyond, let's say, your conventional doctors, and I'll look at like your IgE, right? These are more your anaphylactic allergies. And maybe if you go to an allergist, maybe they're going to do like skin prick stuff, more for environmental stuff. But then you have your IgG, which are more delayed immune mediated. This is going to be more what food allergies can sit into. But your immune system can make other kind of T cell or immune responses that don't fit into that IgG or IgE that's more anaphylactic. So now what? Now you're stuck. And so also if you have gut permeability happening, guess what happens? Whatever you eat the most of, you'll develop immune sensitivity to. So the food allergy test comes back. It says strawberries are a no-go. You're like, I got it. No problem. This is easy. I'm going to go to blueberries. A couple weeks later, if you do the test, you'll probably see blueberries showing up too. So if you love it, rotate it. That's important. Make sure you chew up your food really well. You'd be surprised just not chewing that food up. Chewing allows the enzymes and the acids to work better, right? If you take a blueberry, you just swallow it, right? The enzymes and the acid that works on that blueberry is so much better when it's broken up because there's a lot more surface area for that enzyme and acid to emulsify and break down that food product. So keep that in mind as well. Also, just simple things like, are you hydrating with food? An ounce or two is probably okay. But if you're trying to hydrate with a meal, 8 ounces of water or more, that water's got a pH of 7-ish, right? Right around that 7 area. And your stomachs are pH of 2. And so for every number, right, you go on the pH scale, it's logarithmic. So 2 to 3, that's a 10x, right? 3 to 4, that's 100x. 4 to 5, it's 1,000x. 5 to 6 is 10,000x. 6 to 7, 100,000x. So you think, oh, well, 2, 7, well, it's 100,000x differential on that pH scale. And so you're neutralizing the acid to that 100 1000x degree, especially if you're consuming a lot of it. So try to get that water out, try to chew your food up really well. Now, functional medicine practitioners like me, it's important because where the trouble gets in is when just the typical healthy diet changes aren't enough. That's where we got to look at dialing in hydrochloric acid and enzymes, maybe even using bitters, maybe using natural prokinetics or motility support. Definitely, maybe even looking at bile. How's your stools looking? Is there steatocrit in the stool? And that would require like a good quality stool test. Maybe we're just looking at the stool in the toilet. Is it clay or blonde colored? Is it leaving streak marks in the toilet seat? Is it harder to wipe, like more than 3 or 4 wipes and it's streaky? That's usually a sign there's a lot of fat in the stool. So that tells me a lot too. Next, I would just say, are we cooking the food up well? Right? You got people think, oh, I'm gonna have a big salad and all this stuff, and a lot of, I'm gonna have a crudité dip of some broccoli and carrots. Well, that may be a little too hard on your intestinal tract if you don't have those enzymes or acids there. And so we may have to avoid some of these raw things. And then, of course, you can't eat your way out of microbes. If you have a lot of microbes hanging out in your gut, and they can be more than one thing. People kind of glom on. They find me like I did a video on H. pylori. They're like, I saw that video. That's me. Or I did this video on candida. I'm the candida person. It's like, well, you could be all those things, right? You could be something else you don't even know about. How about that, right? For a surprise. That happens a ton. So I tell patients out of the gate, be open that it could be a lot of things, right? And so I just non-emotionally look at all the stressors in their stress bucket, what those microbes could be. I'm agnostic to what it could be. It could be H. pylori, it could be a parasite, it could be yeast overgrowth, it could be a couple of different bacterial bugs, it could be a not so good pathogenic E. coli, which that was a patient yesterday from 5 or 6 things, a lot of inflammation, a lot of immune activation, increased steatocrit, low enzymes, low acids, all those things could be at play, right? And so just be agnostic to what it could be and just say, hey, my goal is to get whatever those stressors are out. Now, when it comes to the food, right, these are going to be some big things that could be at play, not just the microbes that could be missing. It could also be, okay, the food, but are we cooking that food? Right? Are we peeling that food? Are we cooking it well enough? Maybe we need to use an Instapot. Are we chewing that food enough? Are we dialing in our enzymes? Are we dialing in our acid? Are we pooping regularly? Are we passing about 12 inches of stool a day? These are all important questions. If we don't get the answers and the solutions to those questions, you may not get that full resolution. And last but not least, we can do all the killing, but there's going to be some point where we have to really work on probiotic reinoculation. And again, probiotics don't hang out forever. So we try to get them in. It'll hang out for a few weeks to a month. And then ideally, we want to try to bring in some kind of fermented food into our diet, whether it's kimchi or sauerkraut or a nice fermented coconut yogurt or coconut kombucha, right? These are all good options, or regular kombucha, or I'm trying to think what else, pickles, right? There's some really good fermented food out there that can be great. So if we can get those foods in our diet daily, that's awesome, right? That's a great way to get that in. But some people are very probiotic intolerant. They eat these foods, they get gassy, they get bloaty, they get brain foggy, they have a lot of histamine symptoms, maybe itchiness or flushing, brain fog. And so we got to be really careful when we have a lot of histamine associated with probiotics. So that's why there's a time and a place when we want to add some of these microbes in. And also, I see more and more patients with lower Akkermansia too. That's a protective mucinophilic bacteria that's very helpful protecting the gut lining. And so when we see a lot of gastritis or gut sensitivity, we always want to look at the mucin bacteria. Akkermansia is a mucinophilic. It means it produces mucin, which is very protective for the stomach and the intestinal lining. So we want to look at that too. So I hope this video helps just kind of give you a couple new things to look at. When it comes to food, obviously, some people, we may even have to go to a carnivore or a more stricter paleo. There's all kinds of different dietary approaches I use. Of course, the first thing, we're just going to cut out all the processed stuff. Anything that's flour-based, any excess omega-6, any processed vegetable oils, anything that's going to be added sugar, we're mostly going to cut all that out. And again, it just depends. Some people come in and their diet's great. Then we got to get really nuanced. Some people, their diets are terrible, but they're overwhelmed. They're so used to eating junky food. Well, what's the in-between step? Because if you go too far all the way, sometimes people can't comply and they get overwhelmed. And so my job is to make the right intervention in regards to what you can do, but not just enough where if you do too much, you would get overwhelmed and shut down. What's that right spot so we can get some movement and momentum? That's usually where the magic happens. All right, guys, Dr. J here. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, let me know in the comments. I'll be reading it, doing a lot more live videos of late. Again, this is off the cuff here. I got no script. This is just me talking about what I see every day in my practice and with my patients. So that's it. No notes up or anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, comment down below. And if you want more support, if you want to dive in and you want to, look a little bit deeper under the hood in your specific case and see if we can help and see what could be at play, feel free. There can be a link in the bottom here for a consult to see if my team can help. All right, guys, have an awesome day. Hope you enjoy.